Hello, my name is Stephen Gottlieb, and I made up the trigonometry video. At this point, I would just love for you to sit back and view a sample demonstration. That way you get to see a little bit of my teaching style. I'm going to draw or graph or a sine curve. Let's get right into it. Suppose you wanted to graph the function y equals -2 times the sine of the angle x minus pi. Since what the sine graph is being multiplied by is a negative number, the first thing we do is we draw our negative sine graph. Rather than going this way, which would be a positive sine graph, I just draw it upside down. And I want to label the x-axis. I want to know where the start is, where the finish is. Actually, let's draw it a little bit better. Where the middle point is and the quarter points. So I want to label these 5 x values. And their first one, the starting point, every sine graph starts when the angle equals 0. That is the difference between this and that is 0. That is, there is no difference. X equals pi. After all, pi take away pi is 0. If you subtract 2 quantities and you get 0, you write down the 2 quantities and you put an equality sign in between them. X equals pi. Okay, so we start at pi. 1 pi. Each and every sine graph finishes when the angle x minus pi is equal to 2 pi. Now you should really know if you have 3 pi's and you take away a pi, you'll be left with 2 pi's. That is x is equal to 3 pi. If you insist, you can add pi to both sides. But the bottom line is the left side is going to be x and the right side is going to be 3 pi. That is, x is equal to 3 pi. That's the finish. Now, what's in the middle? A lot of you get caught up with these pi's. If I ask you what's in the middle of 1 day and 3 days, you would say 2 days. Because what's in between 1 and 3 is 2 days. What's in between 1 foot and 3 feet? The answer would be 2 feet. Just carry out the units. Keep the units the same. What's between $1 and $3? Units are dollars. What's in between $1 and $3? $2. What's in between 1 pi and 3 pi? Just think of pi as a unit. Even if it were pi over 2, pi over 2. What's in between 1 and 3? 2. 2 what? 2 pi over 2's, which would be 1 pi. Between 1 and 3 is 2. 2 what? 2 pi's. What's this value? What's between 1 pi and 2 pi? Well, between 1 and 2, it's 1 1/2 or 3/2. After all, if you add 1 and 2, you get 3 divided by 2. That's how you find the middle of 2 numbers, the average. Add them up, divide by 2. 3 over 2 what? 3 over 2 pi's. What number goes right here? Well, what's in between 2 and 3? The answer is 2 1/2 or 5/2. If you can't do it that quickly, here's an equally quick way. 2 plus 3 is 5, divided by 2. 5 over 2 pi. Now, the next thing we need to do is label or draw the y-axis. And I know that 1 pi is positive, so it'll be to the left of 1 pi. The question is, how far to the left? Well, if you're at 1 pi and you go over pi, you'll be at 0. But the question is pi this long, or is it this long? Is it that long? How long is pi? Well, between 1 pi and 2 pi, that's 1 pi. However long this is, you try to go to the left of 1 pi the same distance. Looks like right here, right there. That should be where the y-axis lies. Right here. The next and last thing we need to do is label the high and the low of this graph. I want to know what is the y value here and what is the y value right there. The absolute value of this number, that is, if you want the absolute value of a number, just ignore the sign. The absolute value of that number is 2. That is, the highest point is 2 and the lowest point is -2. And what remains is your graph. You don't really need these dotted lines. Here is the graph, y equals -2 sine of x minus pi. Know where it starts, know where it finishes, 1 pi and 3 pi. Fill in the other 1, 2, 3 points. Get the y values going, the high and the low. You have your sine graph. This ends their sample demonstration. Hope you enjoyed it, learned a little bit about graphing trig functions. I want to thank you for viewing my sample video. And most of all, I want to wish you great success in your trigonometry class.